Russia is aimed at destabilizing the West. And therefore, the southeastern flank of NATO is a very soft spot. It's a good target for Moscow to attack. And what Germany is doing and the others, but Germany is taking a lead, is preventing this. And I think they have been quite successful.
Welcome to the ELIAMEP podcast series. With Ronald Meinardus, we're going to talk today about Greek-Turkish relations, but with another angle, I can say, with the angle of Germany. Do the Greek-Turkish relations go through Berlin, Ronald?
That's a very, very intriguing question. I would be a little more modest and say that what I've done or what I've tried to do is I've tried to analyze and describe what I've considered an underexposed and also an underreported aspect of Greek-Turkish relations. So studies and books about Greek-Turkish affairs, and ELIAMEP has always been very, very involved in this. Fill libraries. There's an abundant quantity of high quality research results in various languages. And internationalization of Greek-Turkish issues has always been a focal point. So what as academics, as political scientists, we would call third-party involvement. But interestingly, and I found this really intriguing, Germany's role has been underreported and has been not very much considered, neither in the Greek media nor by social scientists, by experts in international relations. And this, for me, is interesting and striking. And I, as a German Philhellene, a German researcher living in Athens, was surprised by this, and with my little paper, I'm trying to fill this gap.
So that the people that are listening now to us know, you have written a new, I can say, paper regarding what we are talking to us. It's Bridging Divides, Berlin's Diplomatic Role in Greek-Turkish Relations, which has been published by Friedrich Ebert Institution. Is that so? And that delves into the diplomatic efforts of Germany in navigating the complexities of Greek-Turkish relations. Why do you believe that Germany, Berlin, and the Chancellor Olaf Scholz want to get involved in that difficult relationship?
First, Odin, we must say that this is a relatively recent phenomenon. If we think of third-party involvement in Greek-Turkish relations, we will always primarily think of the United States of America. Historically, since all these issues started, let's take one date, 1974, with the Turkish invasion of the Republic of Cyprus, and with the Aegean issue coming up in context with this. And the United States has always played a central, a pivotal role. And also in these days, if we look at the big issues, in spite of the détente, we have the big issues of the fighter jet procurement with the F-16 and F-35. Every child in Greece knows these abbreviations because they're headline news. And they're very much a part of Greek-Turkish relations, and the Americans are pulling the strings in a way. This is a phenomenon, and this is a constant, if you want, of Greek-Turkish relations. On the other side, we have seen new partners, new players coming in. That was later the European Union, with Greece, of course, becoming a member, then the Republic of Cyprus coming a member, then also the Turks wanting to access the European Union, and thus immediately also the European Union plays a role. Of a more recent date is the very active engagement of Germany, and this is what I focus on. And we may take the year 2020, which was a year of highest tension in the Aegean and the Eastern Mediterranean. There was a danger, another focal points where there was a danger of a military confrontation. You will remember that the Federal Republic of Germany was the chair of the European Union. and Angela Merkel was very active, and her foreign minister Maas was very active in trying to bring Greece and Turkey together and to somehow to return to a sense of less tension, to de-escalate. And from that moment on, the Germans, if you may, had a foot in the door is a very wrong perspective, were involved. And my interviews, and I led scores of interviews, confidential interviews with policymakers and with experts and with senior diplomats in the region and also in Berlin. And the impression they gave me off the record is that all this is coordinated between Berlin and Washington, that the United States of America is agreeable to Berlin taking a proactive role diplomatically. Now, the German role cannot be similar and cannot be compared to that of the United States, because Germany basically has not the hard power. One diplomat said Germany doesn't have aircraft carriers to send them to the region in case things get very, very nasty, or even the French, who have more hard power than the Federal Republic of Germany does. So Germany is focusing more on soft power, on diplomatic facilitation. And this they did, I think, rather skillfully, but not very well exposed and not very well reported, because it was a confidential mediation also. In December of 2022, this was the time when Greek-Turkish relations were again very tense. It was the time of Mitsotakis yok, the Greeks said, because this was what Erdogan, President Erdogan, had said. He doesn't want to see Mitsotakis anymore. This was the weeks and months before the Turkish elections. There was hardly a day without very, very nasty provocations coming from Ankara thrown at Greece. The Greek airspace was violated more or less continually. So it was a very, very tense atmosphere. And in this situation, the German government, German diplomats managed, quite surprisingly, to bring very important players of the Greek and Turkish diplomacy to one table. Anna Maria Bura, who is the right hand, if you may want, the security person in the Prime Minister's office, and Ibrahim Kalin, who at then had the same position in the Turkish presidential palace in Ankara, and Jens Plötner, who for many in Greek is a well-known name. He used to be the German ambassador in Athens, and he is very, very well connected in Greece and in Turkey also, and in the region. He managed to bring these two key players together, and then they decided to actually resume the dialogue, which had been cut unilaterally by Erdogan. And what happened then, we all remember these horrific earthquakes in February of 2023. And Nikos Dendias, then the foreign minister of the Hellenic Republic, I would say, made use of this singular tragedy and traveled almost spontaneous to Adana. I think we all remember the pictures of Dendias and the Turkish to the Turkish foreign minister Çavuşoğlu hugging, and Greece showing the respect and showing solidarity, deep solidarity. And this then started a process which was then termed earthquake diplomacy 2.0. But my argument is that the initial spark for this then process, which is now ongoing, came from this German facilitation a couple of weeks earlier in Brussels. This is my argument. And I expose this in the paper, and I describe in detail how Germany managed to get this way, and how also Germany managed to somehow improve her image in Greece, which is tainted by the suspicion of partiality towards Turkey. This is what actually triggered in me the interest in this topic. When I came back to Greece in 2022, after spending many, many years outside of the region and different parts of the world, I came to Greece, as I said before, as a friend of Greece and a German citizen, and I was really shocked. I was really shocked, Odin, by an opinion poll which showed that only 4% of Greek respondents, 4% of Greek respondents have a positive view of Germany, consider Germany a friend. Now, I'm not a nationalist German, and I'm not here to somehow promote German national agenda, but I thought that this result is clearly not compatible with the fact that Germany and Greece are members of the European Union, a community of countries united also by a certain set of values.
Well, I think Schäuble and the financial crisis played a huge role in that regard. Maybe before the financial crisis, I don't remember any polls before 2015, but maybe then the feelings would. What I mean is not only the factor of Turkey, it's also the factor of the financial crisis and the feelings at that time.
Odin, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. I've been working together with the Friedrich Ebert Foundation on another project, which we actually also presented in an educated program of ELIAMEP at that time. We conducted an opinion poll asking why is Germany's image in Greece so bad? And the results are very interesting. The results are the main reason, as you said, is let's say the Schäuble factor, to simplify it, Germany's behavior during the financial crisis. The second factor is they are very, very high up with like 75%, all these three factors. The second one is Germany's treatment of the claims for reparation following the horrific war crimes committed in the Second World War by the Wehrmacht. And the third factor, close up, is the German position in the Greek-Turkish issues. And there's another opinion poll. I like opinion polls to the extent that they're not 100% correct, but they somehow give an empirical base for an argument. And it's more than just saying this. It shows that there is actually an empirical base for what you argue. And the other poll, which I refer to relatively often, is that 75% of Greeks stated in another opinion poll, which was actually conducted by a different German foundation, the Friedrich Naumann Foundation, says that 75% of Greeks think that Germany is siding with Turkey in these issues. And this led me to a certain curiosity, because Odin, I just came back from Turkey. I lived in Turkey before coming to Greece for 2.5 years. And I was in Turkey dealing also with Greek-Turkish affairs. And I was confronted by Turkish people, by Turkish journalists, and by Turkish experts, also with a suggestion, hey, you Germans are always with the Greek side. The suggestion that Germany is biased is not as forceful as it is in Greece, but also in Turkey we have this sentiment. And this, of course, raised my curiosity as an analyst, and this made me dig into this, and I came up with these results. And yeah, that's some of the history.
Now, do you believe that Germany, by playing this role, is putting at risk her neutrality? I mean, she wants to remain neutral. She has many Turks living in Germany. She has very good relations with Turkey. Can she do that while having a mediating role between Greece and Turkey? And I don't mean, of course, now, which things seem to go very well between us and Turks, but I mean when things were very, very difficult, and we don't know what the future holds, of course.
No, that's a very valid question, Odin. It's the issue of neutrality, and at the same time the issue of solidarity. This is a dilemma of German policy in Greek-Turkish affairs. Why am I saying this? Because I mentioned before that the two countries are members of the European Union, and the European Union is not just, although it sometimes seems this, it is not just an opportunistic club of nations. The European Union is united by certain principles and values. And these principles and values, among them are the respect for international law and the rule of law. So this is for this reason. In many cases, the German government has no choice but to stand by Greece, because some of the suggestions coming from Ankara are not compatible with international rules. So this is the one side. The other side, and this is the dilemma, if you want to be a facilitator, if you want to be a moderator, you have to somehow be accepted. No, not somehow. You need to be respected, and you need to be accepted also by both sides. So therefore, it is a very, very, should I say, dialectical relationship here. And I looked very carefully at what German government officials and the heads of the government had to say in the substance of Greek-Turkish issues and the Aegean Sea. We're just looking at the Aegean Sea. Another part of my study looks at Germany's role in the Cyprus developments. But they were very careful in their public statements, but there have been clear statements in 2022 and 2023 in support of Greek positions. Very prominently, Annalena Baerbock, the German foreign minister, when she was in Athens, said the Greek islands are Greek territory and no one has the right to question this. For me, this is self-evident, but it needs to be said because there was a country just next door who was questioning the Greekness of these islands. We're talking about the islands in the Eastern Aegean. And then also the Chancellor speaker said, and I quote, he said, invading Greek airspace and flying over Greek islands is not okay. It seems counterproductive against the spirit of the alliance. This comes from the office of Olaf Scholz. And then there was a very clear positioning of Berlin regarding the Libyan-Turkish memorandum, which basically annuls the major Greek islands' roles and treats sovereign rights. So here we have clear positioning in issues related to the nitty-gritty of Greek-Turkish Aegean relations. At the same time, the German diplomats make it clear that their role is the role of facilitator. So you will basically not see them get involved in what happens to the substance. They will simply want to bring these Greeks and Turks together and then leave them at where they are. It's for them to settle. So it's not an intervention in regarding the content. It's just an intervention regarding the process. And this is a very important distinction. And therefore, I think they are respected and they are received well by the government in Athens and the government in Ankara, although both prefer not to talk about this role.
Well, now you mentioned Cyprus, and you focus also on Cyprus and regarding the German foreign policy and how much this is focused also in the Cyprus problem. Is that something new, Ronald? Is that something that is happening in the last years in the German foreign policy? The years before, has Germany forgotten, has Berlin forgotten the Cyprus problem? Do you think, my question is, are they engaging again now more vividly with the Cyprus problem, with Cyprus?
I would yes, I would say definitely yes. And the reason is if you look at German foreign policy in general, and if you look at German military foreign policy, you will see a really dramatic shift in the last couple of months. And the date we have to look at is February 2022, the beginning of Russia's invasion into Ukraine. There has been a change in epoch, Zeitenwende, as we say in Germany, and this has impacted the entire context of German foreign and security policy. And Germany is more proactive now. And this is a proactiveness which is very controversial in Germany due to our history of being aggressive and attacking European neighbors and causing incredible tragedies throughout. Germans would prefer to be a peaceful nation, but now with what's happening there, This is being changed. Germany is again becoming more involved in military actions. They're now in the Red Sea, and they are proactive also in this part of the world. And the objective of this, why is Germany proactive again since 2022, is what Berlin and the other Western nations, and Berlin is playing a leading role here, want to prevent is that there is a conflict between Greece and Turkey, and Cyprus plays a role there. And this is something the Russians, Moscow, is trying to achieve. Russia is aimed at destabilizing the West. And therefore, the southeastern flank of NATO is a very soft spot. It's a good target for Moscow to attack. And what Germany is doing, and the others, but Germany is taking a lead, is preventing this. And I think they have been quite successful. Every time Erdogan and Mitsotakis meet, every progress in Greek-Turkish reconciliation is not received very well by Moscow, because they would like this relationship to be destabilized in order to profit from this. So this is the background. And now coming to the Cyprus issue, we have seen a singular increase in high level and highest level interaction in the recent past. The two presidents of Cyprus, there were elections in Cyprus last year. The old president, Anastasiadis, and the new one, Christodoulidis, both on very short distance traveled to Berlin, had discussions with the German leadership. The foreign ministers were also in Berlin. And now recently, just a couple of days ago, none less than the German federal president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, visited the Republic of Cyprus. And this was, I would say, his role is not a political one, but this visit had high symbolism. And what he said, what Steinmeier said, and what Scholz said before, and what the foreign minister said, I should say is music in the ears of the leaders of the Republic of Cyprus, because they're supporting the United Nations process. They are clearly expressing their opposition against the two-state solution, which is the new paradigm promoted by Erdogan. And they support the process of the United Nations and with the objective of having a federal solution with two zones and two communities involved in the political process. So this is Germany's role. But again here, this is what they're doing, and they're not proactively engaging. The Cypriot government was somehow trying to have Germany as a special envoy. There was even talk of maybe Angela Merkel, of all people, playing a role in this. But to my knowledge, this is not led anywhere.
Well, we are going now. I'm going to change the subject, because, of course, when I have you and we talk, I cannot but ask you about the European elections and about the rise of the far right in Germany. Are you worried? Are you worried that the far right in Germany is going to go with a lot of power, to be very powerful in the European Parliament? Is it something to worry about, Ronald? Or is it like we see in other countries? We see what is going on in France with Marine Le Pen, and with Meloni in Italy. What I'm saying is, the far right in Germany a different kind of story?
Of course, if we talk about far right in Germany, of course, it's a different kind of story. It has to be a different kind of story because of our horrific past. If we listen to some of the language we hear, that's why we are so shocked, I would say, or we are so revolted by this, because it seems as if some of these people have not understood what happened in history, and they're not open to accepting the horrific consequences of this. This is the one side. There are two things I have to point out. The rise of the right in Germany is very problematic, as I said, but it's also a result of a government which is showing to be more and more dysfunctional. I listen very closely to the German news and follow the developments there, and there's hardly a day where we are not confronted with the dysfunctionalities of the government. Germany, like other nations in Europe, is confronted by very many problems, and the government, which is consisting of 3 different political parties, has a very tough time to find solutions to that. So this is the one side. And many people are annoyed by this, and they're disgusted by this, and they say the political class is not delivering. So if we had an efficient government, and Greece, I'm not getting into the Greek side, but Greeks have a government, they have no opposition, but Greeks have a government which consists of one party, and more or less the prime minister can conduct policies here. There's a lot of discussion here and there, but in Germany, for a law to be applied, it takes weeks and weeks, and there's a lot of infighting. But I would like to conclude my observation regarding this on a positive note, because we have seen in the recent past, in the last weeks, and I'm saying weeks, not a day went by in Germany where there were not mass demonstrations by simple citizens who went to the road and they demonstrated, and their joint slogan was "Never Again." And hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people were marching and were demonstrating in the squares and in the streets of Germany, Eastern Germany, Western Germany, small and big cities. And we have seen a new format of civil society activism. And interestingly, this is not coordinated from the top. This is something which comes spontaneously, and listening to these people explain their reasoning for this. This is encouraging. So yes, to come back to your question, we will see a considerable right-wing and extremist right-wing representation in the European Parliament. But I would not go so far that it is threatening the very system and the very basis of our liberal democracy in Germany. This is a far cry. The German system has a strong constitution, and there are limits to right-wing agitation. And what the democratic forces say, they will not give in. And the precedent, of course, in Germany, and this what we have to emphasize, that it is often forgotten, that Hitler came to power by democratic elections. This is the trauma, if you so want, the German trauma, and therefore we have this agitation, we have this concern, we have this debate how to deal with these people. And the fact that it's on the top of the agenda, I think for me is a little comforting, although of course I know how problematic all this is.
Ronald, thank you very much for this discussion. I thank you.
Thank you too, and all the best.
This was another ELIAMEP podcast with Odin Linardatou. Recording, editing and sound editing by Petros Karpathiou. Follow us on the ELIAMEP channels on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts and elsewhere.